It's May the 15th, 2024. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds, a midday Wednesday edition, as we always are, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, live on Fightful Overbooked. Jeremy Lambert is here, as he always is. Good morning. How we doing?
What do you think of my hair, Joel? You think this works?
Yeah. You know what? I'm looking at you directly on the screen.
That's unfortunate.
I know. Then this is the funny thing is, like, if you've ever looked at me on the screen, my camera is here. It's up above two monitors, right? I got one here, and they're 32-inch monitors. They're big. So normally, just to give you all an idea, here's my Twitter, here are my show notes, here is me, and then Jeremy's over there. He's kind of over there, and then the chat's over here. So if you see me looking way over here, I'm looking at you, chat. I'm monitoring you. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm. So I'm looking over at you, and yes, the part looks okay. Are you going for an emo look? Are you going to start covering this over here? Was this an ICW general manager call?
No. This is how my hair decided to fall today before the show, so I kept it that way. There's no planning when it comes to this show. Come on now.
Have you ever thought? Actually, this is a better idea. Top knot, top bun. That's what Louis was thinking.
The kids have done my hair before, and it's happened. Yeah, it's looked good. You know, they've put some different gimmicks and whatnot in it. I'm pretty sure we've posted pictures of that. So yeah, sometimes they'll do my hair, and that's probably when it looks its best, honestly.
What about shaved bald? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about shaving your head?
No, I mean, have I thought about it? Sure, because I got a lot of thoughts going on in this brain, but I don't feel I could pull it off very well. So yeah, nah, not for me.
I like the neck length hair. Maybe I'm just used to it on you.
Yeah, I've gone like very short in the past.
Yeah,
I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't always a fan of it. I'll trim up the beard. Like when I go clean with the beard, it looks terrible. Like I can't stand how I look with that.
Look like 17-year-old Jeremy back again.
Yeah, I can do. Hold on. There we go.
Oh yeah, do the front, do the Jerry only. Yeah. Let's go.
There we go.
Oh, here we go. Misfits member Jeremy.
I've done this before. There's pictures of me with this kind of look out there. Yeah, this gimmick right here just kind of has a mind of its own on what it actually wants to do.
I see Kim in the chat saying butterfly clips. There you go. Get your hair back.
Yeah, the kids will do that. It doesn't want to cooperate this morning. Whatever. Hair talk, everybody.
Hey man, there are some shows that get doing an hour of hair talk before they even get to whatever their show's actually about. Our show doesn't even have like a thing. We don't, allegedly we talk about wrestling eventually, but we're a morning show. Who pays attention to us? You know how many times I've read comments that say you're the best thing to put on in the background while I work? That just screams to me, we appreciate you, but you're nothing to us. You're white noise. I could turn on white noise and it would go further in some people's workday than our conversations. We're not important, is what I'm getting at. Oh, this is upsetting me.
I'm gonna wear my hair. You're very important, Joel. I'm gonna wear my hair like this. I'm gonna listen to "Creep" by Smashing Pumpkins, and we're gonna have a great day.
I didn't send it to you, but I sent it to a couple of people. Shout out to that one dork-ass dork, and if you're watching, thank you.
Wow.
You had 10 minutes with Billy Corgan, and he spent 3 minutes talking about the new guitar player for Smashing Pumpkins. I'm like, yeah, man, because I'm a musician and I like music, and I wanted to know his opinions on finding a guitar player on the internet, because that's not something you commonly do in the professional music space. And he is a very successful professional musician.
I really wanted to ask him, what's it like playing Creep live? Look at that. My God.
Air. Yeah. You're just getting air on that.
What's happening?
The best.
It looks like this is like a hair piece with the way it flops. Like,
Oh, this is a very good point, by the way. My syllable saying Joel makes a thumbnail and you guys proceed to ignore it. Yeah, I tend to put it like top of my list of news items, and then something inevitably happens that takes us completely off the course. And I either stick with the same thumbnail, or I change the title of the video, or I change the thumbnail and the title based on what we spent the most time on that I thought was worth discussing. Yeah, I've done it. It's happened way too many times. Yes, Monday's show, I only changed the title, but Friday's show, I don't even remember what the original thumbnail was, because once SB3 joined and we started talking about 5-star matches, I was like, all right, we're going to do the Beatty, what's a 5-star match bullshit.
And I'm just going to do that the whole show. This is incorrect, by the way. Creep is a Smashing Pumpkins song.
So I've been told a million times by Jeremy. Our production meetings are legendary, and that Jeremy just lies through the whole
thing. The wife was driving this weekend, and she's like, this is a Smashing Pumpkins song. I didn't know what it was. And I was like, is it Creep? And she just got very mad at me.
Okay, immediately. Speaking of the wife, shout out to the anonymous IW general manager who just, she sees exactly through my line of questioning. She immediately says, didn't Journey do something like that? They found one of their singers through a tribute band. Yes, that is how Arnel Pineda, who is the lead singer of Journey, that's how he was discovered. They found a YouTube clip of him singing karaoke of a Journey song, and he sounded exactly like Steve Perry, so they invited him out. He got the gig. But like, my main question was like, how the hell is this guy, this random dude that you picked up from the Philippines, how is he going to translate to being on stage in front of 20, 30, 50,000 people? Because that's a change, man. Like, that's different. You don't get plucked out of like your first match in the independents and put into a WrestleMania main event. Like, it changes. You build your way up. That's how it works. So I asked about Kiki Wong, who was selected to be the guitar player for Smashing Pumpkins, and she doesn't have that same background. And I was thinking about how Journey did it. So that's how it is. You got to get a fan for your head to push the air up over your head.
We probably have one somewhere. We have a giant box fan, but I'm not going to subject myself to that. 2 points real quickly.
Yes.
Cyclops is better than Wolverine. Creep. You can name that song. Just go around telling everybody. Have you heard Creep by Smashing Pumpkins? Have you heard that song, Joel? I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. Billy Corgan does a great job on that song.
I had a band giving shit for the way I played it once. But anyway, go ahead.
Second point. No one in my circle, which is very small anyway, or my wife's circle, cared that like I interviewed Billy Corgan, NWA owner. No one cared. These are wrestling fans too. Like, these are people who actually watch like wrestling, keep up with some of the products, certainly know about like old school wrestling and everything. And when the wife told them like, oh, Jeremy interviewed Billy Corgan, like, oh my God, that's so cool. Lead singer, Smashing Pumpkins. They didn't give a fuck about this NWA stuff. I don't even know if they know he owns the NWA, but they were just like, man, that's so awesome. You got to interview the lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins. They did not care at all that I interviewed the lead singer, or that I interviewed the owner of a cocaine wrestling company.
And that's the thing. I think that's why going into the interview, I was like a little in my own head, is because we talk to wrestlers all the time. We talk to like quote unquote important wrestling figures all the time. We don't get to speak to people like Billy, who we know Billy, you know, in our world, we know Billy is like, he owns the NWA. What is the NWA? Like, it started off as something cool, and then it really cooled off, and now it is what it is. But like, he has a name, and he has an incredible music career. Not perfect, believe me, far from it. But like, he has a long, but the longevity of his career is worth noting. And by the way, his wife is no slouch either. She is a designer of designers. Like, she has a name herself. So like, there was a little moment and I was just like, I wasn't fanboying. I think I was just nervous because I wanted to get it right. If I don't feel like I'm getting it right, I don't feel like I'm doing it at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be perfect. I'd like to be perfect, but like, if I'm not doing it right, then I'm not doing it right at all.
I hope I'm not. You can cut me off on this if you would like to, Joel.
Okay, I'm just gonna cut you off right there.
I've never seen you get like real nervous with the wrestler interviews. I feel like I might get more of that, especially when I got to do like WWE people. I'm always very in my head about that. This one you were like surprisingly like a little off kilter with. Like I'm sorry. I don't feel like I'm throwing you under the
No,
bus.
I don't think you are
This.
either. I was very, like I said, I was in my own head. My nerves were going nuts, and I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the things I just said, but like I don't know. I'm not the biggest Smashing Pumpkins fan. I'm not. There are other
Great
bands
song
from
with grief.
son of a bitch. There are other bands from that era that I am much more of a fan of. And like once upon a time, if I meet other musicians and I talk music with other musicians, I am so in my world that I'm comfortable. This was the first time where I was like, what am I talking to him about? Am I talking to him about wrestling, music? Like, what are we doing? And nothing felt normal. Nothing felt right. This was a recorded interview on a Friday afternoon when I had other things going on. Like I needed to get ready to go to another wrestling event where I was covering. And I was just, I was in my own world and in my own head and just nowhere where I was supposed to be. It was very strange for me.
I think like the fact that I don't know much about Smashing Pumpkins, like I legitimately could not name you a Smashing Pumpkins song outside of Creep. That like my wife would play it. I was like, oh, I've heard this, but I could not have told you like before. Oh yeah, this is a Smashing Pumpkins song. Couldn't have done it. So like I wasn't in my head about that part at all. Like I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like I know who the Smashing Pumpkins are. Like I'm sure I've heard some of their music. Couldn't name you any of it, but like to me, it wasn't like a huge deal. And the NWA stuff, like, all right, like it's
It is
NWA is at where it's at this point. You know what I mean? Like this isn't a big in the wrestling world. No offense to the NWA, but like it's not the biggest deal in the world to talk about that kind of stuff. So I wasn't in my own head about this. I was like, all right, this is cool. Like, at the end of the day, this is cool. I was more excited for like my wife because she was very excited for me. And I was like, oh, my wife thinks I'm doing something cool. Like, that's cool to me. Like, that was the excitement for me. And she just messaged, she's like, again, when she told her friends and everything, they thought this was like the coolest thing in the world that I'm interviewing the lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins. And I was like, all right, I guess that makes me kind of cool to that group of people, and like that's something. But yeah, as far as like the wrestling space, I didn't think our wrestling friends like, cool, you interviewed the owner of the NWA. What does that mean in 2024? It was fun. We only had like 10 minutes. So we knew it wasn't going to be much. I like that you asked the Smashing Pumpkins stuff because I'm sure Billy just answered a bunch of. There's been a lot of articles that have come out. He answered a bunch of wrestling questions and everything, but like it was to promote his reality show, which is now on the CW app. Watch all 8 episodes. You just go to the CW app right now. All 8 episodes premiered on Tuesday, May 14th, to look at the date. You can also watch new episodes of NWA Power right now on the CW app. So like it was about his reality show, and obviously the Smashing Pumpkins are part of that. So like I'm glad you asked about that. Had I done it solo, I probably would have asked something just because the wife wanted me to ask some Smashing Pumpkins stuff. Yeah, he probably answered enough wrestling questions. The main wrestling questions I wanted to ask was the cocaine spot. And I told him it was great. I told him we need more of this. That's it.
Now they're going to be injecting shit into veins on the next pay-per-view.
Good.
I want to say, so also I think maybe part of the nervousness going into this was that I really didn't know how that question would be received. Because you and I went back and forth. I told you my kind of trepidation about asking something like that. Not in like a, oh my God, you can't answer or you can't ask. It was more just like, you think he's going to be okay with it? I was just like, I was unsure. But at the same time, but that was your reaction. Your reaction was like, who cares? It's like it happened and it's on the record as having like it aired. So you're not, you weren't speaking out of school. I knew that, but I'm a very like, I want to make sure that I asked the question properly when I'm doing it. And you asked the question properly. Like there was no problem with how it was. It was just the general mindset of like, we're going to ask him about this stupid cocaine thing. And like, I was just so out of my brain of what that was going to do.
You should have done some cocaine before the interview. Like I did.
Would have made it worse.
Would have been fine.
That's right. But there's one thing that Fightful's synonymous with.
It was sugar, okay?
He did call it sugar.
He did
That's right.
say it was sugar, yeah.
Oh my
That
goodness.
doesn't sound healthy either. Snorting sugar, you know what I
No,
mean?
go buy a pack of pixie sticks and see what happens when it goes up your
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah, that doesn't seem great either.
So this is funny. So Chris, our pal Music and Moonsalts, says, I've been waiting to see your interview get aggregated on Blabbermouth. So this is, listen, as much as I enjoy doing the wrestling stuff, I also want to be known for the questions that I ask that are not directly related to wrestling as well. That's one of the reasons why I asked the music question, not only because I have an interest and a background in it, but also because I wanted to see my work in other places other than the wrestling media. And Blabbermouth happens to be a very well-known and established metal / rock and roll online website. Clearly it's online, it's a website, but they aggregate a lot of interviews and show, and they have a lot of footage. They're very well known. And I have a love-hate relationship with Blabbermouth, but when I see stuff like, if our interview question or our interview gets on Blabbermouth, then suddenly I can tell you the numbers go up. And I have a very good example of this. In 2009, when I was finishing my university degree, I did a special project, and the special project was on a band called Kitty. They're a metal band from London, Ontario, Canada, about 2 hours from here, and they're fairly well known. They're an internationally known. They're all women. They're a metal band, and at the time, a lot of my work was in like women's involvement in music. A lot of my dissertations, a lot of my work just surrounded around that. And so I was invited by Kitty to film the show that they were doing in tribute to the manager of 2 of their members, their sisters. Their dad had died, who was also their manager. So they did a tribute show. They invited me and a crew to go and film the show. So we did it. I cut it together, did a whole release on it, and Blabbermouth picked up the video of a new song that I didn't know was a new song because I wasn't a huge Kitty fan. But they were like, Kitty debuts new song at private club gig. And then all of a sudden I look at my YouTube, which is not monetized, at like 117 subs, and there's 14,000 views on this random ass Kitty video. And that's because the Blabbermouth article had dropped and it had the link to my video. So places like Blabbermouth and just outside wrestling media can really do wonders for your own numbers. Put it like that. Kitty's a good band, though. Nice people. They totally disavowed any knowledge of having done that concert. So I got back at them by basically cutting the entire concert and putting it online for free.
Have they ever done a cover of Creep?
They might have. I can probably ask at this point. Morgan, Mercedes, who's done anyway. Very interesting people. Let me tell you, the metal and rock and roll and wrestling more synonymous with each other than you think.
I think it's pretty synonymous, honestly.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, metal is all over the wrestling theme songs, aren't they? Yeah. Anyway, hey, by the way, if you haven't already, leave a thumbs up on the video. Is it still fireworks season, Jeremy Lambert?
I mean, it can be, maybe.
Let's find out. We're not going to point to signs anymore, but we got to come on, fireworks. There we go. Record time.
You can get the fireworks going. You know, it's summertime fireworks.
Yeah, we're getting close to the 1st and 4th of July and other anonymous shows of fireworks. Victoria Day is coming up in Canada, Memorial Day in the States. So that's going to be fireworks, isn't it? Anyway, thumbs up for that. And of course, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, Fightful Overbooked, subscribe to us here, dropping content every single day. If it's not interviews with NWA owners, then it's interviews with wrestlers and interviews with other talent, or live shows that we have all the time. Indeed, or Coexisting with Rob and Maggie. Wrestling Made Me Cry. I'm always forgetting one because that's just what happens with me. But go check out the shows here on Overbooked and donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air and supports us and our creators on this platform. It's not just me and Jeremy. There are plenty more.
Doesn't support us at all.
Yeah, that's a valid point. That is a point. Although our production meeting may find use for that yet. we're gonna make this show big and bad and bust it open, baby.
It's already bad.
Oh, that's true. We are good. Yeah, the Kiss Demon. There you go. The Kiss Demon is a perfect example of rock and wrestling coming through. Perfect example. Never failed once. World champions through and through. Where are we talking? What do we want to talk about?
You made the thumbnail Jey Uso.
I did.
Yeah.
People were dorks on Monday nights. I watched some of the the discourse on Tuesday morning. Tuesday is very famously my day off, Jeremy Lambert. And I sat here and I said, hey, remember on Monday when you and I talked about the idea of Jey Uso either winning King of the Ring or at least going to the final against someone like Tama Tonga? And everyone, not everyone, but there were a lot of people like, no, it's got to be Ilya and it's got to be Gunther. And I'm like, I don't think it's there yet. It's not ready yet. It's there, but it's cooking. You know what I mean? So Jey Uso does beat Ilya Dragunov. People had their feelings. And I thought to myself, why wouldn't they let Jey Uso win the King of the Ring? Why wouldn't they have Jey Uso, who was picked overall first in the draft and hasn't won a major singles title or had a major event happen to him since WrestleMania when he, whatever it was. Why haven't they given him that moment? Well, King of the Ring might be that moment, might be the start of that moment, and it might move forward on this bloodline story that is going to bring back a couple of characters and introduce others. I thought, okay, maybe my Tama Tonga and Jey Uso conversation from Monday maybe has a little more credence to it now. Maybe maybe we'll be yeeting in the streets, but not where they're doing the pay-per-view. No one wants to do that. You're not allowed to. You get tossed in jail if you do it when they're doing it.
Sure.
But instead, the point I was kind of trying to make is like, why wouldn't Jey Uso be the guy? Like I said, you picked him first overall. He keeps winning matches. He has standout performances. And then, of course, it started a whole firestorm of he doesn't do the moves.
So from what I gather, sorry to step on your...
No, my point was I don't give a shit about the moves, but go ahead.
No. So from what I gather, people are mad that Jey Uso doesn't have 5-star matches, right? Like, that's from what I gather. We're going to rehash this conversation I had with SP3 on Friday at this point. Fuck your 5-star matches. Okay? Jey Uso, even by his account, had a bad match at WrestleMania. It was the match that he felt he let people down. It wasn't as good as they were hoping it was going to be. Maybe there was timing issues. He said there was timing issues. Whatever it might be, I think the bigger issue was one guy, Jay, was on a much bigger level than the other guy, Jimmy. And I think that kind of hurt crowd investment into it. The fact that he had this, by his account, and by the account of a lot of people, bad match at WrestleMania and remains as over as he remains is a talent unto itself. The fact that he does not have your 5-star matches and still gets the biggest reaction on the show is a talent. You can be, if you want to be mad that they're, oh, why are they pushing Jey Uso? He's not the best bell-to-bell worker. Fine. Be mad. Okay. I'm going to go off the crowd reaction, and I'm going to go off of what the majority of the people in the building are feeling. Sami Zayn has said this when he talked about, oh, the fans were a little disappointed that like I won instead of Chad Gable. And he had to remind himself, like, you know what? The people online is a vocal minority. I think we all got to remind ourselves of that. It's a vocal minority. It just is. It's a small bubble. It's a niche within a niche. It is. Listen to the crowds. Listen to what the 10,000 people in France sounded like. Listen to what the 8,000 people on Raw every week sound like when Jey Uso comes out. That's going to mean more than Fred 1398 with his Gunther avatar saying, oh, then the bell rings with a Jey Uso, and then the bell rings.
Bruce Pritchard ruined us, by the way, with that. And then the bell rang. I was like, thanks, Bruce.
It's so dumb. I see people like use the Karrion Kross gif with Adam Cole of like, yeah, you know what they do with Adam Cole? They ring the freaking bell. Look, bless Karrion Kross. He leads that group that what the fuck's their name, Joel? TikTokers.
TikTok?
The snappers, finger snappers, right? Yeah.
Carry on my wayward sons.
Yeah. He leads that group.
Gotcha.
But fine. I think that was a great promo by Adam Cole. It didn't do Karrion Kross any favors. Karrion Kross was being pushed in front of no people. All right? No people. Let's not base the non-reaction Karrion Kross was getting because there were no fans there and the gigantic reactions Jey Uso is getting with 8,000 people on a weekly basis. Let's not make that comparison. Let's be a little bit smarter than that. And to go back to the conversation I had with SP3 on Friday, it's cool if you're a great wrestler. It's important to be a great wrestler. What is a great wrestler? What is it? Is it bell to bell? Is it move to move? Is that your definition of a great wrestler? Okay, if you are into the 5-star matches, cool. No disrespect to you. That's what you enjoy. That's completely fine. It's not the overall package of what a great wrestler is. And I will continue to say what I said on Friday. Look at the top draws in the business. Look at the guys who always got the biggest crowd reactions. They had maybe 3 5-star matches between them. Hogan, I don't think he had a single one. Except for the Doomsday Tower of Cage match. That match rolled.
Yeah, that was a 6-star affair.
Yeah. Austin, I guess the Brett match was considered 5 stars. Maybe the Rock match. I don't know. This is one person giving out these 5 stars, by the way. A 5-star match to you can be a 5-star match to you. Rock, Cena, Roman. Those are the biggest draws in the history of the business. Not many 5-star matches between them. But you know what they did every single time they went out there? They got a reaction. They elicited an emotion out there. Okay? So I ain't got no problem with Jey Uso just because he doesn't have any 5-star matches being pushed to win King of the Ring because the man's over. The man gets a bigger reaction than your guys who get the 5-star matches. It's the weird thing. Jensen and I had this conversation all the time because he was like, LA Knight, I don't get it. I just don't get it. He says, yeah, and I don't understand why. Jensen was threatened, by the way. He thought LA Knight was a threat to Cody, and that's why he didn't really like the LA Knight. And now he's like fine with him because he's like, Cody's the champion. It's okay.
Yeah, until he beats Cody Rhodes for the championship.
Which I hope happens. Like, you don't have to like fully get it. It's okay if you don't get it. Some stuff people like, and I'm just like, not for me. I don't get it. Okay, that's fine. You do have to understand that maybe you don't get it, but thousands of other people have latched onto it and they love it. And WWE is going to listen to those thousands over your singular mindset of, I don't get why the crowd cheers for LA Knight. Well, you got to accept it. You just do. And like, if you can't, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to be mad. Honestly, you're going to be mad for no reason. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why are they pushing this guy? They should push this guy who has 5-star matches and all this stuff. Like, all right, look, that's your personal opinion. That's how you would book things. Fine. But again, you're probably just better off accepting that, yeah, they're going to push this guy who is getting these giant reactions. If you want to be mad that they're pushing guys who like aren't really clicking and aren't getting these reactions, I understand that. To be mad, about the guy who's getting the biggest reactions on the show, I don't know, man. You're wasting your energy with that kind of stuff.
So, first of all, wonderful. That was a great, and I'm not being facetious. I thought that was a very well put, and I thought that was very eloquent. Chat down Spurs adds to it saying, who cares about matches? It's all about money, capitalism, the grind, the heat, the sunglasses. Wrestling is dumb and boring. Now, the physical aspect of the wrestling, yes, dumb, boring. Give me 40-minute promos talking about capitalism and the grind. but that's the thing. You're getting over by virtue of the presentation. And also, I'm going to add to this even further, storyline wise. What do they have everyone trying to do with Jey Uso now? They're doing the flashlights, and he calls them the heat lights. The fireflies are his now. He's taunting a bear that is currently getting a little bit more exposure on WWE programming, and that's the QR codes, the Bo Dallas, the Uncle Howdy stuff, the Wyatt stuff. They're starting to bring that into play. I wouldn't be surprised if Jey wins King of the Ring and the big reveal happens shortly after or at the same time as him winning King of the Ring. Although it could be a little too much because, again, I don't know where the bloodline stuff fits with Jey and where Jimmy is, because I know that's another conversation. Like, it's Jey is in this weird situation where he is a part of so many stories, yet he is not at the same time. He has simultaneously inserted himself into the storyline of where the Wyatt Six come in, because he's taken the Firefly lights and he's incorporated them into his development and his progression. He has his brother that he loves and had a match with the WrestleMania, and now they have to come back together at one point because they are not their brother's keeper. But his brother's injured, so he can't really do much about that until his brother's healthy. And then on the other side, on SmackDown, you've got what's going on with the other bloodline. Where's Roman? Why did Solo take over? I'm not in the bloodline. Neither is my brother. Where do I stand? Where does this stand? He is literally everywhere, but nowhere at once. And I think for some, that's very frustrating. But I see the Firefly stuff, the Wyatt Six stuff coming in and potentially being the next thing, the next hurdle for Jey Uso after he wins King of the Ring. And it's not like he's going to need friends. He's going to need a brother to help him deal with these potential 6 or 5, however many, going after him. I like that there's a potential for storytelling. And then I saw also in the comments, our pal Luis mentioning that some people were getting upset at the idea that, they teased Ilya Dragunov and Gunther. They mentioned that they had a history, which, by the way, full marks to WWE for doing that, because you and I talked about the fact that they didn't really bring that up until now. And they touched on it, which I give them that. They touched on it and they didn't make it overbearing. They had the stare down. They mentioned it in passing in conversation in the stand-up interview with Ilya. They teased it, but they don't have to deliver it right away. I think that's something that we have to get used to understanding, is that just because it's put in front of us doesn't mean we have to eat it right now. There are plenty of other delicious meals being prepared and served up for us. God, I'm hungry. In the wrestling world that we can take advantage of, that are happening right now, and we can sit and enjoy those meals knowing that the next course might actually be even better than the last. And that's kind of the cool part about what's going on, at least in the world of WWE storytelling, is that a King of the Ring where we sat here and we're like, Gunther and Randy Orton. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's Jey Uso and Tama Tonga. Like, there were so many options on the table that it's not a boring King of the Ring. It's not a foregone conclusion. And we don't know if this King of the Ring is actually going to mean something, because in the past it hasn't, but they're certainly giving us a reason to care this time in the stories that they built up. And also the crowns don't look as gaudy as they used to. So there are little things that are happening here and there that I personally appreciate, and I see coming down the pipeline as like an opportunity to build on the stories that they're telling.
Some people were mad. They're like, oh, Ilya's been buried. He's lost his second match on Raw, like his third match. He's lost his third match on Raw. He's buried. WWE's done a better job at having wins and losses matter. Let's be honest. Wins and losses don't matter. They don't. Chad Gable lost to Sami Zayn in his last big match. What's Chad Gable doing at pay-per-view? Still getting an Intercontinental title shot. because he just goes around and he beats up Sami Zayn anyway. Sami wants to fight him. You can have losses not be effective by just strong booking afterwards. If Ilya wins a couple more matches after this to possibly go on the road against Gunther, people aren't going to remember that he lost to Jey Uso. And it's okay to lose to Jey Uso. It's okay. He was in a main event match against a super over guy, and he lost. All right, fine. This is the argument we use with Jade of like, you don't need to keep like having her win and just dominate everybody. Like, it's okay to go ahead and get that loss out of there so you don't feel like you're forced into booking a giant winning streak for her. People are going to be okay with a loss because it depends on how you set it up as well. It's not like Ilya went out there and lost in 30 seconds to Jey Uso. He had a competitive main event match against a guy who's been around for a long time, who might legitimately be the most over babyface on Raw. I think he'll be all right, guys. I think he'll be all right.
No, he's buried. It's over. I'm sorry. Send him back to NXT UK.
It's, I don't know. The discourse is always very strange around this stuff. And I always just go back to what's the crowd saying. Like, we are very online. We are very, again, niche with this stuff. If you don't think Jey Uso is a good wrestler because he doesn't have 5-star matches, fine. That is your look at professional wrestling. But you can't be upset. Or you can, and I feel it's a waste of energy. I don't want to tell you that of what you can and can't be upset about. Like, if you want to be upset about this stuff, fine. I feel like there's other things to be upset about. When a guy is getting a push on how over he is, because certainly they've pushed other people that don't get this kind of reaction. This dude is getting massive reactions. And if you want to tell me, oh, it's just a theme music, oh, it's just a catchphrase, okay. That's, a lot of people have gotten over off theme musics and catchphrase. I love Bryan Danielson, GOAT, in my opinion. Bryan Danielson was getting the biggest reactions in the world when he was doing the yes stuff. When he was just Bryan Danielson, great professional wrestler, like, crowd was rocking with him a little bit. But he started doing yes, and it's like, oh, shit. Love this guy now.
We have a calling card.
Yes, the crowd loves the call and response stuff. I've said this for years. They love that. That's what professional wrestling and a lot of times is. People hate the what chants. They're still going on to this day. People still loved it with Steve Austin. Like, it was like, we can do this? Okay, fantastic. People love the call and response stuff. Because it's just something, it makes you feel connected to that wrestler. You can't always feel connected when they're in there doing all these wrestling moves. It's great. People do find a connection in that. But also, like, you feel a connection when you have some type of call and response while they're doing these moves. It's just how it's worked for a very long time with WWE.
I want to point out, I thought there was a really interesting conversation going on in the chat. Someone had mentioned about like AEW personalities and how they are not the same as WWE personalities, is just how I'll leave it. And really that, I think, is the point, is that the presentation of AEW is not based on personality first, wrestling second. It is based on winning the title first, or being the best first, and then the personality showing second. And that's not a good versus bad thing. That's just a presentation thing. And if it works for them, then that's good. There are big personalities in AEW. It's just that they present as great wrestler first with a big personality. They call it, we're the best wrestle. That's not, and again, it's not a bad thing. It's a presentation thing. So I just wanted to toss that out there as like it's just an extra added layer to how they do their business. And that's all.
Yeah. And people were talking about the Danielson and the yes, like, Danielson, my opinion, GOAT. He still uses the yes chant. He said he wasn't going to use the yes chant in AEW because he felt like he was stepping on WWE property there. And then he was like, you know what? This actually works. Let me use the yes chant. Like, he's now leading that. It ain't something where the crowd is like doing it for him. Like, he's leading the yes chant. Danielson gets it. He knows, like, hey, this is an easy thing where I can bring the crowd up and get them all fired up. And it looks good on the entire company because now it looks like I'm super over, which he is. Like, I think even Danielson would tell you, hey, yeah, the yes is a big part of why I'm as popular as I am as well. Like, that shit transcended WWE. You had baseball teams, hockey teams doing that. The Giants, the Islanders were doing the yes chant. The yeet, I mean, look, the Cavs, the fans weren't super into it at the Cavs game the other week, but like they were still trying to lead the yeet chants out there. That stuff travels. These big time chants and these call and response stuff. The Who's House with Swerve. They do that at the Rams game. They do the Who's House. Like, when you can travel outside of wrestling with your call and response stuff, or whether, even if it's not even like a call and response, as far as like a chant, if it's a gesture, the John Cena, you can't see me. How many athletes do that in a game over the years? Like, people just love that kind of stuff, and it travels outside of wrestling. And again, if you don't like it, if you're like, just give me a crisp lockup, if that's the stuff you enjoy, or the cool moves and everything, that's fine. But you're wasting a lot of energy arguing of like, they should push this guy because he does all these cool moves over Jey Uso, who has non-wrestling fans doing this at an NBA playoff game.
NXT star Javon Evans in the mud. No, I'm just kidding. He's great.
I don't have any knock on him. No, look, I don't want to. I'm not trying to.
I know you're not. Sorry, I just want to add to that. I don't. First of all, I don't actually mean that because he's also presenting a character that's very entertaining at the same time. So I just think about the whole. He does a lot of moves that get stand out on the socials, but then he also has a lot of really good like one-liners and really good presentation of character. I'm using Javon Evans as a really poor example just for the lulz.
Javon Evans is also very new to WWE, really, to wrestling.
Oh yeah,
he's very young. I don't say this as a knock on this person because I like this person and I think he's a great wrestler. But Johnny Gargano is who he is in the wrestling sphere. Very great wrestler, but he never connected. He a little bit during the Black and Gold era. You can put some good credit on Johnny Gargano, but the WWE era, maybe some of it's booking, but he hasn't connected with the audience the way somebody like a Jey Uso has. I think we'd all probably agree Johnny Gargano has better overall matches than Jey Uso. He might be a better professional wrestler in the ring, bell to bell, than Jey Uso. Jey Uso has hit on something that Johnny Gargano has not. And yeah, I see Valhalla saying like a lot of his booking. Like, I don't fully disagree, but Gargano's had some opportunities and it just hasn't always latched on. It happens with guys. Guys will get opportunities and it just doesn't always click in that way that something with Jey Uso has clicked. And people who are in the business who have reached the top. I know people like to knock on Chris Jericho. I get it. I understand people like to knock on Chris Jericho. I don't think anybody's going to sit here and say Chris Jericho's not been one of the most successful wrestlers of all time. Longevity wise, there ain't too many who have done what Chris Jericho has done at the level that he's done for years. Even Chris Jericho will tell you some of it's opportunity. Some of it is capitalizing on that opportunity. It goes hand in hand. Because people get opportunities. It's what you do with those. The Miz will always say this is like, you might only have a minute to go out there and do something. You got to make the most of that minute.
They call it, what do they call it, Jeremy? You maximize your minutes. And when you don't, that's show business. That's not just wrestling. That is show business. That's entertainment. And guess what pro wrestling is? Pro wrestling is entertainment. And if you're not maximizing on your minutes and you're not taking every opportunity that you have and trying to hit a home run out of it, then what are we trying for? That's not to say people are lazy. That's not to say people aren't trying. Some things are really time dependent. Sometimes you just latch onto something that works because, again, going back to Jericho, for every positive thing that you say, there's at least a few times, and I'm not talking about the backstage stuff, but I'm talking about things that he's tried character-wise, catchphrases, trademarks that he's tried, and they've been absolute failures, GFY. And that stuff doesn't land. And when it doesn't land, it could be timing, it could be just that it's corny as hell, or it's just not right. And that's fine. But you're going out and you're trying, and you're going to maximize your minutes. Guys like Jericho also have the opportunity to make those mistakes a bit more frequently than, let's say, Johnny Gargano, since you had mentioned him. Gargano hasn't been in Jericho's spot. He has been very upper mid-card and top of NXT, but he hasn't had, I didn't even say top of mid-card. I think he's been mid-card at the most, but he's had opportunities. He has made the most of the opportunities he's had, but nothing has immediately latched on just yet in WWE world, in the main roster. Does that mean that it could? Absolutely. Does it mean that it will? Who knows? That's the unpredictability about wrestling and the crowds and the people that go to these events, is that a lot of them are the ones who get, they're just as much as part of the show as the wrestlers in the ring. Because if something latches on, then you're doing it. The NXT crowd, this is a pretty good example of that. People give the NXT crowd in Florida shit, and sometimes rightfully so, because they like to take a certain character or a certain presentation and they add to it or they detract from it. Lyra Valkyria is an example. They were doing the woo. They're calling it like the crow call. And now they're starting to slowly bring that into the arenas where, you know, they do the 3 hits on the keyboard, da, 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 and then they go, woo. That call and response thing is now becoming a part of Lyra's presentation on main roster after the NXT crowds kind of brought it into their own in Florida. Stuff like that is a good example of the heightening of a character and presentation in wrestling. Whereas there are certain things that they'll chant or certain people that they'll immediately turn on because, you know, it's a very inside baseball culture at NXT with the people who go, because it's a lot of the same people. Watch week to week, you'll see. But when it works, and it gets over and brings you over to main roster. And I think that stuff is very important to shout out as well. We are part of this whole thing too, but we're not as big a part as some people think we are. I mean, we as in the fans, we're there. We have a say, but we are not final say in presentation or how over somebody gets.
I don't think, let's go back to Cody. You know, we want Cody trending and everything. That was a vocal minority. I don't think it was a minority. That's one of the things. But that was something where the crowd was able to change how things felt. But the crowd was booing The Rock when he came out that night as well. If the in-arena crowd reacted big to The Rock and Cody stepping aside, I don't know if it gets changed just because the online fans are like, hey, we want Cody. But the in-arena crowd was booing. Listen to, I'm going to go, Sami Zayn. Everyone praises Sami Zayn for how smart he is. Everyone loves Sami, except Johnny Knoxville. Sami Zayn will say it. Of like, you know, I pay attention to the online stuff. Like, yeah, maybe it was a little upsetting. I thought like, oh man, what'd I do wrong? I thought the crowd wanted me to beat Gunther. But then you go to the arenas and Sami Zayn, they're rocking with him. The crowd in the arena still loves Sami. You can't pay attention to what people are saying online and think that this is what should happen or how they should book. Sometimes there's good ideas, not on this show. I famously have bad ideas for a reason. But you can't pay attention to like, oh, let's push this guy and push that guy. Like, all right, fine, but again, just listen to the in-arena crowds. Those crowds will always tell you who they're rocking with, who they want, and what they want to go with.
And also, sorry, I was going to say, and also how offline they are compared to the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. Maybe they're online, maybe they're not. No idea. But regardless, they're probably not as online because just the way they're reacting to everything. And if you want to spend your energy on that stuff, more power to you. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh man, I wish they would give. I don't think there's anything wrong with Ilya Dragunov is the first thing. So I'm not even like, I wish they would give Ilya Dragunov a shot because I don't think they've like buried Ilya Dragunov in any way. I think he had a main event match against one of the top guys. I think Ilya Dragunov will be fine. I hate using like any name because it feels like I'm taking a shot at that person, and I'm really not trying to. I'm trying to just, for comparison sake, come up with somebody. I wish they would give Akira Tozawa more matches over Jey Uso. And I like Akira Tozawa. He does great in the role that he does, but like that's his role.
Eating competition star Akira Tozawa.
That would honestly be fantastic.
He did. Did you see that? When he beat Omos
I saw it. I covered it, Joel.
Yes, I know. We talked about it on the show. That's what I'm saying. You can start making Akira Tozawa, Mr. Eater. Give him that gimmick. I'm sure it'd get over. He eats 20 hot dogs before getting in the ring.
Like I feel like this would work, honestly. We're just going to admit it's going to be bad. We're not going to have any wrestling. That's the thing. It's a shame WWE Speed has existed because, like, all the matches I would book would be under 3 minutes.
Speed on X presented by Coke. And soon there will be heroines because the women are going to be a part of it.
Jason's right in that, like, we had that. It was WCW 2000. WCW 2000, like,
I will accept no WCW 2000 slander. We will only support the days of WCW 2000 as presented in The Rock's upcoming Who Killed WCW 4-part series coming to wherever.
That shit was hilarious to me. That, like, WCW 2000 was absolutely hilarious.
The best.
I loved it. But this is also like when people try to make the AEW and Dying Days of WCW comparisons, like, y'all are dumb.
They weren't
all offense. All offense to those people.
The ones who say it are the ones who weren't alive for it and are the ones who only watched the Who Killed WCW specials. And then they realize, and then they just try to make those weird, like, come on, man, we were there. We saw it. We knew what was killing it. And the answer wasn't whatever you think is killing AEW. That's not actually killing AEW.
AEW.
That's amazing.
Justified. This is dog shit chant.
That's the tweet.
Yeah, those people are stupid. Of like, oh, this is just like WCW.
No, they haven't hired. I mean, you know what? The one comparison that they're taking is that they took people who had names in the WWE. They came over to AEW, and they're trying to use that as the reason, similar to what WCW did, when really it has absolutely nothing to do with the other. And you're just taking, like, everyone, the talent pool has to go somewhere. And they move back and forth. It's just the way it is.
See, I like those WCW days because it was just so dumb. And that's completely up my alley. Just stupid wrestling. That's how I know AEW is not like WCW in those days. Because AEW, while I might have complaints about or criticisms, hopefully constructive, I can still see a lot of the positives, and I can still see a lot of the logic, and I can still see how a lot of stuff is very good. And WCW, it was just all stupid. Again, that's for me. But there was just so very few positives or logic. And it's just like, nah, this isn't good. I recognize this isn't good. It's extremely dumb. It pops me. AEW, I'm like, oh yeah, you still had like this really cool match and all this stuff. Like, cool. Another great wrestling match. Your 5-star matches.
It's probably a good time to plug the fact that y'all interviewed David Penzer, former WCW ring announcer, and he's going to be on the spotlight tomorrow.
Yeah, he is not part of the Who Killed WCW documentary. That's a scoop, everybody. Yeah,
that is a scoop. He should have been in it. Did you ask him TNA Impact questions, like how I broke the news of his retirement, his non-retirement?
We didn't do that, but we did talk a little bit about TNA. We covered as much as we could in about 50 minutes with David. You know, he's had a long career, so it was tough you can't really fit an entire career into 50 minutes, but we covered as much as we could. Another great Danielson loss. Cool. Stupid. The Young Dragons, whichever one you call them. Yeah. The Cat, Commissioner Cat.
Oh, there was so much good stuff, dude. Go back and watch 2000s WCW. Take out the Russo stuff, take out that stuff, and tell me it wasn't the best. The undercard was always the best. Again, Jason Jett versus Kiwi, WCW Greed 2001, match of the year candidates.
It was awful, but it was
fantastic.
But it was good. Awful. That's my problem with wrestling today. Is like it's just all like good. Like, you know, I've talked about this before. It's just like, oh, cool, 3-star match. Like your worst match is still like 3 stars. You know, like, oh, awesome. Another like everything's solid. Nothing's like really, really bad in wrestling today. That's what I loved about WCW then. That shit just sucked. It rolled. Because it was like, Xavier Woods always says this. That's why I love Woods. He's like, you know, the wrestling that stands out is your really high level stuff of like, oh, okay, this is a different level. Clearly a different level. Or your really, really bad stuff that you just know is bad. That's what I love, like ironically, love about Tyrus. Dude just sucked. But you know, he was awful in the most hilarious ways because it takes real skill to be this awful now. That's what I love about Evil in New Japan. People don't like Evil. I'm like, nah, this rules. He's out here spray painting the title. All his matches are just filled with a bunch of run-in nonsense. He does the most basic stuff you'd ask for. Great. I don't need all these like great matches. Oh, here's a 12-minute match, 4 stars. Here's another 13-minute TV match, 4 stars. Everything's just like 4 stars. Like, nah. Give me that 1-star stuff, man. Give me that shit that's just really, really bad.
Don't make me play the video again.
Nah, we played it already.
Watch our show because it really sucks. That's basically how we get along with our show. Jana sent a super chat, by the way. If Bianca and Jade can't be in the Queen of the Ring, neither should Candice, Piper, etc., because they're in a tag team. Tag team feud can stem from Queen of the Ring. Star power is great. I think Jade versus Io, but it is unpredictable and great. I understand where you're coming from. I agree with you to a certain point, but I don't think the problem is that there are people who are in tag teams who are part of it. I'm less of a fan of the tag team champions being a part of it, because that is two people that could potentially be in another feud or other matches as a tag team in their division where they are the champions, putting their tag teams on the line or their tag team titles on the line. I understand where you're coming from. Like Candice and Piper are in it, therefore like Candice and Indy could be part of it. Piper and Chelsea could be a part of it, and yada yada. But like, yeah, that's kind of where I'm coming from. Your tag team champions are part of it, and that's weird to me. Making a tag team feud out of a singles match or out of a singles, program doesn't really hit for me. I don't know if you have anything to add about that.
We talked about it on Monday. Like, I think you are valuing these tag team titles a little bit more than
that's fair.
100% valued them since existence. So I'm fine with Bianca and Jade being in Queen of the Ring. Let's go back to bad wrestling. This is what I loved about the Maxine stuff. Shout out to Chad Gable with the Taylor Not So Swift line.
Oh, so good. So good.
This is what I loved about it. It's like they're just acknowledging. This is why I thought they dropped the ball on Candace. We needed Candace out there, like just burying all these bad wrestlers. Like, you know what? Why are you on television? I realize this is probably not good television of like, hey, this wrestler sucks. Come watch the product. I realize that's not good television, but it pops me. That's why I wanted Candace to just point out all this stuff. It's like, no, we're better than you. We're better professional wrestlers than you. So we're going to win. Because we are actually, because like when you're talking about this level, the crowd reaction is different. You can't really do this on like a men's level with an Ilya Dragunov and a Jey Uso. Ilya Dragunov can't stop Jey Uso in the middle of the match. Like, I'm better than you. Lay down. Let me pin you. Jey Uso's over. Maxine, Candace, a lot of these women, they're at where they're at. They're getting the reactions that they're getting. This is why you can like pull the curtain back a little bit, which they did for that one time, and then they never went anywhere else with it. They really had a chance to do something with that.
They mentioned your dead brother, and they did nothing with it.
Yeah, they didn't do anything with it. Like, I was like, oh, Candace is like kind of a heel now because she wants to win by cheating. It's like, all right, that's every heel in existence. They had a chance to do something different with Candace of just Maxine, be like, you suck. Oh, it would have been so good.
You're just like every single like kid sports coach. Oh, it's like a kid watching their. Oh God, amazing. That's what Chad Gable should do.
Chad Gable's been great with this, by the way. I hope they continue to roll. This is why we need Candace and Gable together. Just berating these dorks. Like, yeah, you suck. This backwards worm move. Fuck out of here with that. No. We're not doing this. We're not gonna sit here and just lay here while you do this dumbass move. You can do this with a lot of people on the roster, by the way. It's not that these people are bad wrestlers. It's that some of them just do stupid looking moves. Kaden Carter, Katana Chance, they do like, it looks cool, but in the gimmick of this, just like, no, we're not just gonna stand here while you do 20 springboards into a double team move. This is why the Samoa Joe move out of the way spot rules so much. You're just like, why am I just gonna stand here while you do this? Huh? No, fuck that. I'm gonna get out of the way. More wrestlers should just move out of the way of dumb shit.
What's your finish, kid?
What's your dumb springboard move so I can walk away?
Oh, hey, so speaking of dumb things we'll never get, $5 million. Do you think any of that could be used for a hot tub for us in Las Vegas? It'll be it'll be time. It'll be time. Vegas are saying, we're giving WWE $5 million to host WrestleMania as part of the package to incentivize them. That's the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, who apparently had a Canadian office at one point in downtown Toronto. Didn't know. I'm just looking at Google Maps. They don't exist anymore. But anyway, the LVCCA approved $5 million to bring in all the stuff for WrestleMania. And some of the numbers, by the way, were just ridiculous. Like saying 300 media people from 12 countries and like 120 outlets. That's insane. You and I will probably not be one of those unless they get us the hot tub. Do you think it can get us a hot tub?
Maybe.
Where on the show? Where would we do it on the strip, or would we be off strip doing the show in a hot tub?
I think we'd have to be off strip. I mean, maybe we can be on the strip. Let's just go to the club.
Which one? There are so many.
Spearmint Rhino. Is that still a thing?
We could probably, you know what? I could think of one club we could probably get into now that we have someone on the payroll.
Okay. Let's go there.
And this is the thing. Like Ryan Lambert's bringing it up. Like he's the world heavyweight champion right now. Who knows what'll be around WrestleMania? Probably not. But Damian Priest in a hot tub with us? Absolutely. I have connections to at least one of the people who was in that hot tub with him in that photo. Could probably bring them back.
I like Jason's idea. Get the hot tub in the back, the podcast rolling around Vegas. That's how Ready to Rumble ended. They got the hot tub in the back of the truck. Yeah.
That's it. WCW 2000 wins again.
Ready to Rumble rules.
Oh no, ITW takes on the Bunny Ranch. That sounds awful in every way, shape, and form. The truck with the hot tub in the back also gives me Simpsons reference vibes because of the pool. The
that show sucks nowadays.
Oh, dude, nobody watches The Simpsons now. They watch the old Simpsons episode.
Man, I just saw that like they did a spoof on the friggin' that European banger that came out like last year. And like they're just now getting around to like utilizing it. It's like, what? Why? Why are you doing this now? That song was like cool 8 months ago. You know how quickly the world moves? Like 8 months ago? No one cares about that song anymore.
Yeah, but that's how it goes. Then they bring it back. You're bringing it back.
They didn't bring it back in a good way because like even their like topic wasn't like fun. That's like, yeah, Planet of the Bass. I forgot the name of the song. Like, clearly it stuck with me. Yeah, the Simpsons like did it wasn't even a spoof because I think they got like the people to like sing it. It was just a what's a parody? I guess parody.
An homage, a parody. Yeah, I guess. A cover.
Cover, but you know, it was about not tipping. Like not tipping in Europe. It was about that. It's like
oh, this is a good idea. Do you want to go to All In, All Out? I'd like to go to All In. You want to go to All Out? I have ideas.
I mean, that's at least closer to us than at least closer to me. I guess closer to you than
gotta fly
Vegas,
there, I guess.
Vegas. I can drive either way. I'm not driving to Vegas. Forget that.
No one wants to drive to Vegas unless you live in California. That's why they all live there now.
Yeah.
The Californians, they moved to Vegas because it's cheaper. Yeah, I'm seeing the vice president of the LVCA saying that apparently Easter weekend is a slow time for Vegas. That's news to me.
Like, I believe that.
Do you? I feel like a lot of families go around the Easter weekend.
Easter doesn't seem like a Vegas holiday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is risen in debt.
Like you're not going to the strip club to celebrate the life of Jesus.
Our families suck, is what we're trying to say.
Like
our families are no fun.
Easter doesn't seem like a very fake. Like that's where you go to church, not the club. On there,
the Church of Club, Club of Church. I mean, listen, you spend time in any of these mega churches, it's basically become a club after hours.
I do feel like you could like hide some Easter eggs like around Vegas and stuff, but Easter seems like a very family-centric holiday. Again, that's probably not why you're like going to Vegas. Hey, let me go gamble a bunch of money.
Call Sinister Minister. I know what we can hide in those eggs around Vegas.
I mean, I assume that's like what you would hide in eggs around Vegas.
Oh yeah. Some powdered sugar, absolutely. That's what you would. Yeah. That's what you'd put around there. Of course, pal Val saying "Come to All Out." Of course, I'd love to.
Maybe.
Got a plan for it. It's also that's the problem is again, this is one of AEW's bread and butter is that they put it on like major long weekends, and that's usually Labor Day weekend, which is just a madhouse for pricing, hotels, flights, anything, and it's busy. That's always again, this is something that we talk about often. It's like why do you do this? I get why you do this, but why do you do this to us? It's not fun.
It's also a week after all that, and
oh, that's a whole other can of worms for the wrestling minded people. Yeah, that's something I've never really enjoyed, but that's an issue that they're going to have to handle. And again, I'm hoping that this year they put together a card for All In, and then stuff kind of filters through properly instead of just in a week's time. It's just kind of like we build some matches through these weeks, we build some for this. Yeah, it'd be good.
It's also on a Sunday. These Sunday shows suck.
Is that football's back? Is that why?
Football's not September. Football's not back by then.
I saw the Christmas games are coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
Got to get ready for that big Raw 2025 debut. Put a bunch of live events. John Mulaney's doing live stuff. NFL's doing live stuff. Other people are doing live stuff on Netflix these days. They're trying to test for the market. Make sure that their internet works.
They should make sure they get it right, because I think they've done well with the latest specials. Like they did the Cat Williams special, they did the roast of Tom Brady. Seems like that all went pretty smoothly on Netflix. The first time they did it, which was the Love Is Blind reunion, sucked. People were very mad. I'm one of those people who are very mad trying to watch the reunion, and like it didn't work how it should have. So very unfortunate. It's these these holidays of like, oh, it's a holiday for everybody.
For who?
Yeah. Like, just because it's a holiday doesn't mean people are staying up till like 12 to watch these shows.
This is actually really start the pay-per-view at 7.
Oh, I agree.
And have it end by 11. It's still running at 4 hours, but it'll end an hour earlier, and we'll be done by 1 o'clock if we're doing Tony time, the solo tone zone, as it's made popular by Trevor Dame.
I realized that like I'm in a vocal minority of complaining about these press conferences.
So. You and Ilya Dragunov, I can't believe it.
Nah, covering them is pain, absolute pain.
It's all right. We'll have plenty to talk about. Well, we'll preview AEW Dynamite soon, and Double or Nothing's around the corner. That's going to be
next week.
Next week, not this weekend, but next weekend, right?
Same with the Saudi show. Next weekend's going to suck.
It's going to be a very busy weekend for us. I think I had said on a show that that's main channel Monday, but it's not. The following week is main channel Monday, the 3rd of June.
Oh, okay.
So, luckily, we're not going to have 2 pay-per-views to talk about on a Monday on main. Although that would be great for numbers, it wouldn't be great for our numbers on our channel. Arguably more important with our 15,000 subscribers versus 115. Just subscribe to the channel already. Why haven't you? This makes me happy. Okay, what's next? We should probably talk about the Vince lawsuit stuff, because that has been a big. There've been some updates, and we said, as we always do on the show, that we will keep people updated and in the know. I think a lot of people have heard Sean talk about, why isn't Fightful doing more coverage of this from some bad faith actors, and the point being here that we take a lot of we took a lot of the reporting that's coming out of Brandon Thurston, John Pollock. They've been doing a lot of the legwork and doing an amazing job at that, and we're still talking about it. We may not be well versed in the legalese, but we are certainly trying to be as transparent and as updating with our audience as we can with this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm not going to acknowledge people who were like, why aren't they doing more cover? We are covering every single piece of news as an article that comes out on this. If we don't talk about it on shows, it's because there just isn't a whole lot to add on the shows. And I don't want to say anything stupid because I do enough of that. So the biggest update came yesterday when WWE filed the motion to compel arbitration, which was already filed by Vince and by John Laurinaitis. So they're, as expected, this is not unexpected that they were going to side with the other people that are the defendant on the lawsuit here. And they are trying to compel arbitration, which basically means they actually, I'll go back and look up the article that I wrote where it has all the information. They actually said like they want an arbitrator to arbitrate them going to arbitration, which is again, I don't quite understand all of this. I guess this is something you can do, but they basically, much like Vince and Laurinaitis, they want everything handled behind closed doors. That's what they want. Their argument is that Grant broke her release agreement. They agreed to a mutual release. They provide in that they were going to keep it all under wraps. They weren't going to say anything. NDAs were signed, and she broke that. And so because she broke that, this should be handled in a private matter and not played out in a public court of law. So, their argument says this is from the court document. I want to make sure I start at the right point here. Grant's release language reads, except for any rights under this agreement otherwise stated herein, Grant hereby agrees to release, remiss, and forever discharge, and by these present does for herself. And this is all lawyer speak that her heirs, executors, administrators, release, remiss, and forever discharge McMahon WWE and the present, former, future directors, officers, employments, agents, representatives of WWE personally as directors, officers, employees, agents, representatives of WWE from all manner of action and actions, causes of action, sums of money, covenants, contracts, controversies, agreements, promises, damages, claims, and demands whatsoever in law or in equity that she ever had, may have had, or now has, or that her heirs, executors, administrators can, shall, or may have as a result, or in connection with her employment relationship with WWE, the termination of that employment relationship, and or any and all matters involved in her relationship with McMahon and or other WWE personnel, and whether known or unknown, asserted or unasserted, suspected or unsuspected, which she may have has as a result of any act which has occurred at any time up and the including date of her execution of this agreement. That was the release language on all of this. That's one sentence, mind you. This is why I don't like getting too into it, because I don't understand what a lot of those words mean in this. What my understanding is that she basically was not allowed to say anything about any of this relationship stuff. They feel she did, and because of that, they think that it should compel arbitration. The agreement, which Grant concededly negotiated, signed, and accepted the benefits of, contains a clear and unambiguous arbitration provision. That provision requires not only that all claims Grant asserts here to be decided in arbitration, but also at the threshold question of the arbitrality of those claims be decided by an arbitrator. Again, they are trying to argue that the arbitration should be arbitrated by an arbitrator. Court should grant WWE's motion to compel arbitration and order that the claims proceeded to arbitration as the parties attended and as the agreement requires. Did you get all that, Joel?
There's a lot going on here, Jeremy. I'm sure a lot of it's going to be cleaned up a bit this afternoon. Pollock and Thurston are going to be doing their show, and I'm sure that they're going to be touching on this and plenty more. That being said, it really, it somewhat feels like WWE, it's not about sweeping it under the rug, but it feels like they want to keep this in-house. As in-house as not in a courtroom that is with public, any people from the public in there. They would rather have it behind closed doors. They would rather have it in a controlled space, and that's really what it comes down to, having a controlled courtroom where nothing gets out and everything is handled with their people and with Vince McMahon and with Janelle Grant. I don't know if there has not been any response from Ann Callis, Janelle Grant's representative lawyer. Has there?
The response has largely been, we believe, in our side. There hasn't. Yeah.
See what we released last time. We stand by that.
Yeah, because Vince's attorneys did file a new statement about Janelle Grant's side wanted to strike Vince's preliminary statement, which argued, I'll bring it up again. I don't want to be, I try not to, where he denied everything. And I'm trying to, look back at my previous
that's fine.
Numbers on all of this. The preliminary statement, they wanted to strike that. The preliminary statement basically said, by publicly filing her salacious, false, and defamatory complaint, plaintiff has brazenly and intentionally violated a binding contract to arbitrate. And this goes back to their arguments of why it should be arbitrated. They basically denied everything, but the way they denied everything is aggressive, I would say. And that's why, that's largely what Janelle Grant's side says is even for Vince McMahon, the baseless, irrelevant, and false statements in the motion's preliminary statement designed solely to harass and intimidate his longtime victim, Janelle Grant, are a new low. So they tried to get that stricken from the record. Vince filed a new memorandum. Hopefully I said that right. When it comes to that, and just continued to assert that it was a mutual relationship. Her filing only showed one side of the story. They claimed that they had other text messages, which of course now have been deleted because Vince deleted them after the relationship was over. But they claimed that if Janelle kept them, that'll show that how it was a mutual thing. It says, and it's a trigger warning for anybody. It says, let me again. Well, the defendant no longer is in possession of the text messages between the parties as he deleted them when he broke off the relationship. The discovery in this case will show that plaintiff sent him sexually explicit images of herself and texted him to say, among other things, she was in love with him and he was the love of her life. He was her best friend. She wanted to have sex with him, and providing graphic detail that she fantasized about being held down, enjoying pain, and wanted rough sex, that she wanted the defendant to watch her have sex, that she wanted the defendant to give her thousands of dollars for clothes, plastic surgery, and other gifts, that she wanted to have a future with the defendant even after signing the agreement, and that she wanted the defendant to keep living in the same building so she could continue to see him even after signing the agreement. This is what Vince's side is arguing, that all of this would come out if she kept the messages, because Vince has apparently deleted them after the relationship was over. It's going to continue to just get ugly. And the more stuff that is filed, it's going to continue to, Vince is going to paint her in a terrible light to try to discredit her argument. And she is going to continue to tell her side of what she went through. And none of it's going to be good. And it's going to just all be very unfortunate to continue to cover. I hope, I don't want to say I hope it remains public. I hope that just we get some justice for all of this. If that means going to arbitration, that makes me feel less confident that we get the justice, because that would show that Vince's side has a winning argument, at least for a portion of the case. And so it's just going to make me feel less confident overall in the case. Yeah, that's sort of the overall update on things, everybody.
We're going to see where it lands. And again, if something does get tossed out or anything like that, there is always a chance for refiling. I'm not speaking as to anything that's going to happen or it has happened or anything like that. Just could tell you that if one thing ends, it doesn't mean it's over. Well, we'll see. Again, who knows? We're in a really we're in a weird spot where people are kind of just, they're going back and forth with their assertions and yeah, that's it, and their filings. So we'll keep up on it. And again, our pals Paul Thurston, they're doing it as well. So keep up with them as well. Yeah.
Don't follow the New York Post for this.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Stay away from them if you can. And I'm being serious. And so is Jeremy. Do not follow the
because they have all of this same information and they are spinning it in the Vince way, just like they did with the love letter stuff. I'll say it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that there is this type of spin out there, because the facts are there. The filings are there. And this is why anytime I cover this kind of stuff as a news article, you're not supposed to assert your opinion into a news article anyway. You know, if Bryan Danielson's saying something cheeky, like, fine, I can make a joke. Or if I'm covering an NBA reference in relating to wrestling, I can make jokes. On the whole, not supposed to assert your opinion into a news article. Certainly not news like this. And this is why when it comes to news like this, I just pull from the court document. I do a lot of copy and pasting from the court document. One, because I don't always understand what all of these words mean. I just read that one paragraph for everybody, and that was an entire paragraph with a bunch of words and stuff that is just a bunch of lawyer speak to me. So I let the document do the talking and hope that, okay, try to surmise that the best that I can. New York Post, what they're doing is completely, I would say unethical. Like it's I don't know about upsetting. It's upsetting on a certain level, but I guess maybe you expect it from them. It's just not how things should be done. The way they are covering this is not how things should be done. And it's a shame they have as much influence as they have, because people are going to read this and they're going to side with Vince. And if you side with Vince, look, I think you're wrong. But if you read all of this and you decide, hey, you know what? Maybe Vince has an argument. Okay. You shouldn't be influenced by what should be factual news articles. If you're influenced by creators and other people, okay. You shouldn't be influenced by what should just be a very straightforward presenting of facts by an outlet like that.
Yeah. Again, stay away from the New York Post. Pretty straightforward. It's sad. It's sad that I think about this often. There are certain times where I read articles from different publications and I think to myself, is this where we're going? I want out. I don't want to do the coverage anymore, not just wrestling, but I don't want to. I'd rather, it's the stick your head in the sand, which isn't the answer, but it sucks that there are so many outlets out there that just like put out shit like this and make it think that it's okay. And next thing you know, you're like, just get me out of here. Stick your head in the sand and just be ignorant. But you can't. You cannot. You have to continue to find different points of view and find the legitimate ones. And I can tell you, New York Post, not one of them. So don't bother. Saved you a minute. Don't read the New York Post is really the takeaway from all of this.
I think everybody should, if you would like to, just read the documents for yourself, and everything's presented there. You can read it. You can form your own opinion on that kind of stuff. If you want it for summaries, and I try my best when I post the articles on the site to really summarize things. Brandon Thurston, John Pollock do a great job of summarizing things as well.
And ask your lawyer friends. Ask your lawyer friends, especially the crim defense ones. I have one that I will be bringing this to and having a long conversation with him tomorrow, I think. Lots to discuss there. Anyway, let's move on. You want to talk about the WBD AEW stuff real quick, and then we can talk about Dynamite tonight?
Yeah, what's there to talk about?
I mean, upfronts are today. The upfronts start today. AEW, there is no announcement between AEW and WBD, but apparently that's a don't fret. Things are still looking good for a relationship to continue with WBD and AEW, in so much as adding potentially to their slate as well with content, even despite NBA possibly moving away from WBD from TNT and moving into to NBC territory. What do you think of that? And where are we going other than staying put? Where does this all lead?
I think it sucks that inside the NBA might be done. That's my biggest thing of everything.
Yeah, but Round Ball Rock could be coming back.
Yeah, I need Inside the NBA. That's the best studio show. They don't talk about any basketball. I actually think, bless all of them, their basketball knowledge is shitty. Like I mean, Charles Barkley's out here. Nuggets are getting swept. Nuggets haven't lost since. Like their takes aren't that good, and they're very reactionary, as we've all become in we got to have a hot take sports media. But the chemistry and the vibes and the bits are something that you can't replicate. So it's unfortunate that that might be going away. As far as what that means for AEW, I've seen where people seem to be going one way or the other. People are like, "Oh, this means that Warner WBD is going to have more money to spend on AEW, and they're just, all that money they were going to dedicate to the NBA. Now they're going to give to AEW." That's not true. And then other people are like, "No, this is actually bad for AEW because they might just slash their budget altogether in this department. They're already in debt, I think." So they might just slash their budget altogether, try to save some money, and move away from sports because they could just run movies and it'll be cheaper for them to do that because now they're going to get less from carriers because the numbers might not look as good with the NBA propping it up, with live sports propping it up. I think it's, like always, I kind of think it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's the best news for AEW because a big draw for TNT is the NBA. It's what does their best ratings. And you lose that. I don't think they're just going to be like, "Oh, we were going to spend $300 million on the NBA. Let's give that money to AEW." Probably not working like that. Instead, they might just be like, "All right, well, let's dedicate that resource to elsewhere. Or let's go after a WNBA rights package because the WNBA is on the upswing right now." Maybe they put more money into, like, they got some money into baseball. They got some money into hockey. Maybe they put a little bit more into that. I don't think it's all just going to go to AEW. I do think it helps AEW in that now they're not competing for space on TNT, but it hurts in that, like, that was such a big draw for TNT that you get Dynamite plugs in the middle of those games. That helps. What was the biggest rating that Collision did? It was after the NBA game. What Collision do this past week against an NBA game? Not quite as good. So it hurts in there. Why Soul saying is an AEW fan, it'd be nice not to have the shows constantly jump back and forth with time and channels. That's typically only during this portion of the year. And I don't think that's completely out the window because you're still going to have, this is why I say I don't think NBA or TNT is completely going to like slash their sports budgeting, because you still have March Madness, which is one of the reasons that AEW has been jumping around. And there's still the NHL, which is another reason why the AEW has been jumping around. It's not just the NBA. I think people think it's just the NBA because that's obviously the big talking point. The NHL playoff games on like a Friday night have more to do with that, or have just as much to do with that than the NBA playoff games. So it won't be, the MLB, again, they're going to have an MLB package. So it's still going to jump around with that. Maybe it's a little less often, but now you're thinking, what if you're going to be facing the competition of NBA games more on NBC on a Wednesday night, or whatever streaming service on a Wednesday night? Like, there's going to be more competition potentially from these NBA games. So I think it's good and bad, and we won't know until the actual deal gets signed. Go ahead.
So Louis Silberwasser from TNT Sports is actually on the stage right now for upfronts. First of all, NBA, there's still one more season on TNT. So next season is currently the end of what's going on. Silberwasser also said, we look forward to another season and reaching an agreement with all the parties on the NBA talks. So who knows what that's going to look like? But either way, if AEW is going to have another, run with Warner Brothers, there will still be another year of NBA play that affects their their programming, whether positive or negative, to all the things that you just mentioned. And then, of course, they mentioned that the NASCAR return to TNT, and then the 2025 Stanley Cup Finals are going to be on Max, and they're going to be with Disney and Fox and all that stuff. But I'm just keeping up on that while we talk. But yeah, something to keep in mind is that there is still one more season of the NBA on TNT.
There's a lot of moving parts with all of this. I think AEW, I think the biggest thing for AEW will be where they can house the streaming content. I don't think they're going to be moving off of Turner, TNT, TBS with Dynamite, Collision. Maybe Rampage does become an attached third hour. Maybe that is a thing, because it's done pretty well for them over the past few weeks compared to what Rampage typically need to do on a Friday night. So maybe that just becomes an attached thing. I think the bigger thing is going to be the streaming network. Where can you get an archive? Where can you potentially get the pay-per-views? Pay-per-view has been a viable model for them thus far. Is that going to continue? The last few shows have been a little bit down. You know, they've lost some key draws over the years. They're not speaking out of turn. They're not as hot as they once were with everything. So is a monthly, and they're adding shows. So is a monthly, nearly monthly pay-per-view model still viable with everything? Or can they get these shows on Max as part of, maybe it's part of the Max Sports package. Maybe you pay like ESPN with UFC. Maybe you pay as part of the Max subscription, like ESPN or UFC still charging like $60 for the pay-per-view on top of ESPN Plus. Maybe it's not that, but maybe it is like, hey, you're paying $10 a month for Max, pay an extra $10 for the AEW pay-per-view. Maybe it's something like that. Don't know how that's all going to play out, but I think the biggest thing is going to be, you know, where the streaming content lives, because that's kind of where everything's going. You know, there's still obviously linear TV still plays a big portion of everything, but you know, what's the joke now is, oh, Disney, Hulu, and ESPN have all united to create cable. Like, cool, we've already done, like,
this was 3 years ago. 3 years ago we were talking about this happening, and now we're just for self-fulfilling prophecy.
So that's how, you know, that's where things are going. Raw is going on Netflix. Like linear TV is still there. It's still a big portion, but you can, the NBA games and stuff that are on now, the NHL games, sure, you can watch them on TNT. You can watch them on TBS or ESPN. You can also just watch them online. You can watch them through Max. You can watch them through your ESPN Plus subscription. Like, you can, there's still so much that you can still just watch through streaming, that it's not always just watching it on cable, because so many people have gotten out of cable. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing for AEW, is where obviously the weekly shows live, but where the streaming content lives, because I think it's important for them to get that as part of the deal.
I am still a big fan of the way TNA does their monthly content. You have 4 tentpole pay-per-views that you pay whatever, $20 to $50 depending where you live, and then the rest of the month, every special, as long as it's not 2 weeks after your pay-per-view, but that special is a $5 price point, or even $10 if you're whatever. Like, whatever it is, there is room to do something like that with AEW if you're running a monthly schedule. And then you have your tentpole pay-per-views. You've already established what those pay-per-views are. They are Revolution, Forbidden Door, All Out. All In you could add, but I don't know. That's up to them. And then Full Gear. And I don't know if I'm forgetting one. There's one that I'm definitely forgetting. Revolution. All Out. No, I said Revolution, All Out, Forbidden Door, Full Gear.
All In.
But I said All In was kind of like a, do they really want, because it's only the second.
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing. Thank you. God, the one that's in 10 days. Anyway, it's just how it goes. Thank you, chat. Inevitably going to catch up and tell me it's double or nothing. Anyway, but the rest of the shows, the dynasties, the all-ins, the Wrestle Dreams, those events become your Max specific or your Triller, whatever, your cheaper events, which doesn't make them lesser quality, but they just become more of like a package deal. You buy this package, you get the pay-per-view included. You kind of like what they're doing with AEW Plus, except you would add those other events and then the tentpoles would charge more. I like that TNA does it like that. They also bundle in their weekly TV with that, which is helpful for me. But that's what I would personally like to see out of AEW. All comes down to what's going to make them the most money and what's going to make them, the most viable entity in wrestling and their presentation. Someone in the chat, Jason's asking for Canada, would they, if the pay-per-views move to Max, would Crave cover those? I think honestly they just put them back on Triller and payperview.com and YouTube and just say pay, because right now I think one thing that Tony might be working towards is that all of the TV deals are coming up at the same time. I think that's something he's trying to do. And if that's the case, I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but it's also not my company and it's not my development. So he seems to have things as like, I want them all up at the same time so I can negotiate them all at the same time and I can sign them all at the same time. But I feel like doing that globally is a big headache when you come to TV and the deals that are operated there, because every TV carrier is different going from country and continent. So that's just where we're at there. But if you move everything online, guess what? You don't really have to worry as much. Things change.
Some of this is just also just going to come down to the whims of what David Zaslav wants to do. And, I don't know how that's going to go. Just seems like he's, some people seem to like him. Other people don't seem to like the decisions that he makes. So,
well, I mean, if you're directly impacted by the cutting of, financial ties to the business that you work in, then yeah, you're directly affected, and that sucks. But it all comes down to where the money is and how it affects your bottom line.
Yeah, and I don't think it's great for AEW that things are a little bit on the downswing right now when all of this stuff is being negotiated. I don't think that's good for the company. I don't think, again, they're not dying. They're not going to go out of business or anything. Their leveraging has decreased with the downturn over the past year. And when you're bringing in the people they've brought in and you haven't seen a significant movement in TV numbers, part of that is timing. They're up against the playoffs and people care more about even the NHL playoffs, certainly the NBA playoffs, than they do about wrestling right now. So part of it is timing. Part of it's I think the loss of Sting was more impactful than people want to admit on things. I think the loss of MJF was a little bit more impactful than people want to admit with things. But yeah, that's why you brought in Okada, Ospreay, Mercedes to try to mitigate some of that damage. And we haven't seen that fully. We haven't seen the upswing from that. Oh, I do think the timing isn't the best for them as they try to negotiate a new deal. And if they're going to negotiate with anybody else, or if it's just going to be Warner Brothers, if that's who I think it'd be foolish not to at least see what else is out there. But if they're happy with the deal with Warner Brothers, maybe just go ahead and take that deal.
Well, over on Fightful Select, best $5 in the business. I'm not going to say that 20 more times, but over on Fightful Select, we did make note that the AEW WBD exclusivity window continues into the summer, but we do not have a firm date as to when that ends. So in other words, could get hammered out, or they could be waiting to have conversations with others and see where that goes. But everything that Tony says seems to lead to, I like WBD in our relationship.
Yeah, he's always been very optimistic and speaking highly of WBD. So it's carried, not that I'm doubting the Fightful Select reporting. Tony said that it seemed to be a lot sooner than people may have imagined. And this was a month ago. So seeing that it maybe extends into the summer is, Tony could very easily just be saying things and but he made it seem like it was like a couple of weeks. And this was, again, a month ago.
I think that's
2 months
promoter
ago.
Tony talking when he does that.
Yeah, but I don't disagree. I also don't know why. Like, I don't even think it was promoter Tony talking. I think it just might have been over exaggerating Tony talking, because it doesn't do you any good to be like, oh, our exclusivity window is up in like very, 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 very soon, and then it comes out, oh no, it's not up until maybe like another month or two. So
August 25th.
yeah, like I don't think it was like promoter Tony, because he's not promoting anything. He's promoting an exclusivity window. Like, the fans don't care about that, you know? Like, it's not like he's promoting tonight's Dynamite or anything. So it's very weird.
He's doing it specifically for Brandon Thurston.
I guess. I mean,
The only he whenever he talks about TV stuff with any outlet, he's thinking, what is Brandon gonna say when I say what I say? And that's
you're really talking about the niche of the niche.
yeah, catering to an audience of one, literally.
Yeah.
God, I would love for that to come out and just be like, yeah, no, when he answers it, he's thinking of Brandon Thurston. Be like, wow, really? Okay, wonderful. Good for him. Hey, we got a super chat earlier from Ryan Lambert saying, thanks for talking about the tough stuff out there. We're going to keep doing it. We got to talk about it. Obviously, that's not about the WBD stuff. That's about the lawsuit stuff with Vince and Janelle Grant and WWE and John Laurinaitis. That stuff we keep up on because it's important, and we want to make sure that our audience is also kept up on it, both in written form and also in the content that we produce live and on camera. It's important to us. It's important to me. I'll speak for Jeremy and say it's important for him too.
That's important because, you know, I want to inform everybody, and like, it's an important topic. I truly, there's been a lot of stupid stuff online, as there is every day. But it does feel like we've lost the plot in some regards, coming out of like press conferences and whatnot, and asking questions and topics to talk about and everything. It's not all rainbow and sunshines. How's it feel to be you, legend?
Thank you. I was waiting for you to use the legend line.
I had to think about it. I'm like, that's why I paused for a moment. I was like, is it Hall of Famer? Like, my brain was not processing quick enough. But yeah, like, you know, it's just not. It's not, and I do feel like some people have lost the plot on that. There's a pretty big topic going on in the world of wrestling that deserves coverage, that could have a lot of effect on WWE still. Like, we don't know how big this thing is yet. We know what we know, but fuck, we thought we knew what we knew 2 years ago when news first started coming out about this. And look how it's grown since then. Look at all the twists and turns it's taken since then. So who knows what's around the corner?
Yeah, and we'll keep up on it because that's what we do. What else? We have AEW Dynamite tonight, but we've got a lot of time until that. So what do we want to cover? Anything else here? Anything that's like immediate you want to talk about?
Best wishes to Carmella. She was on the Bella's show, or the Garcia show, talking about her. She's dealing with drop foot after pregnancy. She has a herniated disc in her back that's like affecting nerves in her foot. Sounds awful. So best wishes to her. I don't know. She says she still wants to like return to the ring and everything. I hope that is the case. But for right now, I just hope it seems like she can live day to day okay, which is good. And that's what matters more than some wrestling match, but just best wishes to her.
I read the article this morning. I haven't listened to the podcast yet, but it sounds like, she really wants to get back in the ring. She said, this is what I've been doing for 11 years and I'm really into it and I miss the crowds and the responses. But then, she went into the discussion about having drop foot, which is essentially, a nerve issue stemming from like her back that it connects to her foot and she can't lift it properly sometimes. This is it's very strange, and it sounds like it sucks.
I've dealt with drop foot.
Really?
Yeah. I had it when I was running I still do my running, and everything. But this one, it was when I was on a very, I don't say strict regimen because I wasn't working with a trainer or anything. I was just kind of doing it on my own. But yeah, I had to sleep with a brace on my foot to basically like keep it straight, because what happens is it's exactly what it sounds like. Your foot just like hangs low, like you can't straighten it. So I would have to do exercises to keep my foot straight, and I would have to sleep with a foot brace that would keep my ankle and my foot straight while I slept, so it didn't like continue to just stay dropping like it did. I guess there's different cases of drop foot. It was completely foreign to me. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I went to the doctor, and they're just like, oh yeah, you have drop foot. It's from running and everything. Like, here's what you should do. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think I had any type of like herniated disc in my back to where it was affecting everything. I think it was just like my foot was acting up. So it's not fun. Like, it's very awkward when you're trying to just do basic tasks. Like, I get, especially with wrestling, like so much is timing, footing, and things like that. Like, I couldn't run for a little while because my foot just would not, my footwork with running wasn't proper. So I could not run the way I needed to, because my foot would not act properly during that time.
I have the most annoying issues with my feet right now, so I'm thinking about this. I don't think I have drop foot. I've got like this weird like heel pain in one foot, and then it's like tendon pain in the back of my foot, where the heel goes and goes up to the ankle. That's the other pain. And it's just like when I walk, I'm trying to focus. Now we're a health podcast. I'm so sorry. Where I want to do more heel toe walking, like properly, because I feel like a lot of the time I'm kind of doing it backwards, where I walk forward and it's foot heel. It could be planters. I got it. It could be, but it's very strange and very painful. I got to go to a doctor soon, because it's also like one of my feet has like a weird arch on it. Listen, I get that some of y'all are here for foot talk, but this ain't the sexy kind of foot talk. Not on this style. Maybe off the air.
Yeah. This is Carmella, Fallen Footwear. Carmella is dealing. There's an article up on Fightful.com talking about it. So yeah, like it's not. Yeah, I had a lot of foot issues when I first started running, because I just wasn't properly stretching. Wasn't my form wasn't very good. I was wearing the wrong shoes. I was just like, I'm gonna jump into running and go. And like, shoes is a big thing.
The shoes I'm messing up on, because I wear sinkers, which is like I wear like slip-ons, but like you feel the ground. Like they're not very thick, but like they're $30, and I buy them because I can slip them on easily. They're slip-ons and go. I'm not running in them, but like walking around for hours at a time. But meanwhile, like my Docs are amazing, but they're boots. Like they take a while to put on, and I don't have all that time. So yeah, I got to get a proper pair of shoes. And I know that a doctor is going to tell me get a proper pair of shoes. I'm going to sit there and be like, I don't want to get the New Balance and be old man at the market. No one wants to be that guy.
I can show it. It's disgusting looking, but
we have a lot of 30-year-olds in this chat. My God,
this stays underneath my desk. Like, I roll my feet on this thing basically all day while I work to keep, just blood flowing, I guess. But it's just helpful on my feet. So that stays underneath my desk all day, so I can just keep going.
Shout out to anyone who's got footwear in their title. No, they're far west. They're like, I used to wear the Vans, slip-on shoes. Whatever I get, I usually, I'll get what's on sale, and those will be my summer shoes. Because like I have my proper Doc Martens. You know the boots that Becky wore in her like 2019 run? I'm pretty sure those were Docs, and I got a pair of those. But they're like canvas Doc Marten boots. So like they're tall. Like they're like a pair of Converse, like high tops, but they're a little bit bigger. They're like combat boots, but they're not leather. They're canvas. So like I wear those a lot, and they're very comfortable. But I cannot spend as much time as I do lacing them up and lacing them out. And I wish they had a zipper on the side. Women have it right with those boots that zip on and off. Man, I wish I could do that. But my docs do not currently have those.
You ever wore boots with the fur, Joel?
Yes. And everybody at the club was looking at me that night.
Oh, all right.
Didn't hit the flow. Sorry.
Coward.
I know. I can't get very low. I got great hips, but like the spine. The spine is unwilling. The hips are good. The hips don't lie.
I was gonna say, do your hips lie?
Never.
Never. Okay.
So yeah, we're cowboy.
Banger ass song. That's a banger song.
No one is stopping me from getting kiss style boots. The thing is, I'm tall enough. I don't need them. I'm not Gene Simmons out here being like, yeah, I'm 6'5" in my kiss boots that are 12 feet tall. It's not me. I just need comfortable shoes. That's going to be what I get next. Anyway, AW Dynamite is tonight. And if you want a comfortable wrestling experience.
Tony's not back yet, is he?
Like, no, but did we talk about the Young Bucks drive up to the Tony Khan parking spot bit from last week? Did we talk about that at all? Do you remember that they dedicated like a 30-second segment where the camera guy's in the back and it's footage, him shooting forward. Bucks are in the very front.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okada and Jack Perry are in the back seat. And I'm like, why are they doing this? They know Tony's not here. No one would have put up the Tony Khan parking lot sign because they know Tony's not there. Like, what is this?
Maybe
that was
maybe out of respect, you put you still have the boss's spot out of respect.
The bronze statue of him. I saw that, and honestly, if that's the one nitpicky thing I'm going to remember from this past week's Dynamite, we're good. I just saw it and I was like, this is really weird.
Yeah, I like a rare beast comment. The Bucks just made him put it up just for the diss. Like, you know what? Put this thing up just so we can show.
Petty ass Bucks over here. Yeah. All right, that's fine. I'll accept it.
I respect all of it.
I just remember seeing it and being like, what?
I can't keep doing like the bits of the neck brace. I don't have a recorded bit this week.
I'm sorry.
No, like Tony's doing interviews, but he's not like, promoting Dynamite on this.
Is he still wearing the neck brace?
I don't know. It's all audio interviews.
Oh, good for him. He knows what he wants and what he doesn't need.
I feel like you should do it, Joel. You should do the Dynamite right now.
I don't really want to do the Dynamite. This is a pretty packed ass Dynamite. Holy crap.
Because, yeah, the bit should be as someone doing the Tony bit for me. That's where you should be here, Joel. If I'm not in charge, theoretically, you're in charge. So
theoretically. Wait, why am I not in charge normally?
Well,
I get it.
You should be the one to do this.
Fallen Footwear says, love the morning shows. Well, thank you. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We appreciate your time spending with us and your money spending with us. We need a Will Washington runs down the card video. That's what we need. I'm going to start reaching out to AEW wrestlers and be like, hey, you want to do this bit for us?
Good luck.
Get Swerve on the show.
Just preview the Dynamite card for us. That'd be good, actually.
Like, what's going on in the show? I don't know what's going on in the show. I just got here.
You should do the rundown, Joel.
Why? I'm not good at the rundown.
You don't have to be good at it. You just got to be enthusiastic about what we're going to watch tonight.
Okay. How should I do it?
Make it your own.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Make it your own.
Ladies and gentlemen, AEW Dynamite tonight, live from Everett, Washington on TBS.
Fuck, I didn't say do a terrible accent. Jesus.
What's wrong with it? You told me to do it, make it my own.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know what to do now. Now I can't do that thing.
I'll do the accent.
I don't want to do the accent. It's the reactions that I live for.
Do the accent, Joel.
Do y'all want the accent? I'm putting it out there.
No one actually wants it. No one actually wants the accent. But now you've introduced it. So now it feels like you got to keep going with it.
All right, seems like it's gonna happen. All right. Sorry, I'm losing it. Jack got me on this one.
What in the hell?
One day I'll do Krusty doing the Dynamite preview.
All right.
It's AEW Dynamite live tonight from Everett, Washington, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, live on TBS. You can still get your tickets at AEWTix.com. Tonight, we feature the return of Hook. Hook is coming back. That's right. Hook is going to return, and he's going to face off against the Learning Tree, not in a match. But instead, they're going to probably have a face-to-face because Hook returns tonight, AEW Dynamite live at 8 p.m. Eastern on TBS. Roderick Strong and Will Ospreay, huh, bruv? We don't say bruv, but he does. They have a face-to-face. They're going face-to-face. They're going to have an international championship match at AEW Double or Nothing. But first, Roderick Strong and Will Ospreay go face-to-face live on AEW Dynamite on TBS or on AEW Plus over on Triller TV. I could kind of go into it. If I'm careful, I might go into an Australian accent. Sorry, just letting you know now. AEW Women's World Champion Timeless Tony Storm is going to face off against Harley Cameron, who's having a wonderful, wonderful time here in AEW. She's having great matches, bangers, as they say in the United States. She's going to have a match against Timeless Tony Storm as Harley Cameron tonight on AEW Dynamite. Meanwhile, Adam Copeland calls out Malachi Black for AEW Double or Nothing, which we kind of already did that on last week's show on Friday night, but for Saturday night. But we're going to do it again just because we want to make sure that you saw it. And then Malachi Black, he's going to come out and he's going to accept it or deny it, I guess. But why wouldn't he say yes to the match for AEW Double or Nothing live on TBS? Or no, that's going to be on the pay-per-view. That's Double or Nothing. Tonight is AEW Dynamite live on TV. On the TBS or the Triller Plus or wherever you're watching it. Speaking of contract signings for AEW Double or Nothing, Mercedes Moné is going to sign the contract for her match against Willow Nightingale for the TBS Championship. Could be the main event at AEW Double or Nothing, but we'll find out tonight live, 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on TBS, AEW Dynamite. What else is going on the show? I'm getting messages, people like... Okay, my watch is now taking problems with this. AEW World Tag Team Championship Eliminator match. Matt Sydal and the very angry Christopher Daniels. The very angry Christopher Daniels. He's the fallen angel, but he's also very angry. He's going to take on the AEW World Tag Team Champions Matthew and Nicholas Jackson in an AEW World Tag Team Championship Eliminator match. Live tonight on AEW Dynamite. And of course, for the AEW Continental Championship, everyone's barred from ringside. Otherwise, they're all fired. Dax Harwood challenges AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada. Looking forward to that one. And of course, Kyle Fletcher, the ROH World Television Champion. Hey, remember Ring of Honor? They still exist. They're still around. And the New Japan World Television Champion, Jeffrey Cobb. His tour of the islands brings him to Everett, Washington tonight for a match against the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Jon Moxley and his tag team partner, Bryan Danielson. 3 out of 4 of those men are currently holding championships that are not AEW championships. Guess which one doesn't hold a championship? It may be the guy who always loses. But tonight on AEW Dynamite, Bryan Danielson might actually get the victory over Kyle Fletcher, Jeff Cobb. But you'll find out tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on TBS. And in our presumed main event, for the AEW World Championship Eliminator match. It's not for the championship, but the champion's in a match. Swerve Strickland takes on former Mogul Embassy teammate Brian Cage. 1-on-1. It's an eliminator match, so no title on the line, but if Brian Cage wins, he gets a shot at the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. All that and more tonight. Live on AEW Dynamite, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, live on TBS. Everett, Washington. Get your tickets now, awtix.com. I'm also sorry to whoever's accent that's supposed to be.
Fuck you.
Thanks, Huck. I really hope that they are. I was thinking about Wrestle Talk and What Culture while I did that.
That was something.
Thank you. That was awful. I thought about going Australian with my accent.
I think you offended about 13 different countries.
Glad to do it. I'm glad to do it. You know what? If you're from a nation that I grieved or have sent grievance to by doing that, leave it in the comments. Say like, I am from this place and you have offended me.
That was, I thought at first like you were trying to do like a Nigel thing.
I thought about it. No, not really.
But I have no idea. I have no idea what that was.
It was greatness, Jeremy.
I appreciate your attempt.
Your week off.
I appreciate.
No, but seriously, the ROH, New Japan, and well, I guess 2 championships from New Japan, and the ROH World TV Championship are all represented in one match where Bryan Danielson is not one of those champions. That's a very interesting forbidden door beginnings of a story going on. I love it. I'm here.
Forbidden door. Brian's over here. He's got to wrestle in Anarchy in the Arena.
Well, we'll see if Eddie Kingston's going to wrestle in Anarchy in the Arena first.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, anything else to add about today's show? Other than that was amazing. Wow, we lost viewers on that. Sorry about that.
Sorry, everybody.
I don't feel bad at all. I feel a little bad. Oh, there we go. I thought that was Australian. Crocodile Joel Dundee.
Nah.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, it feels like we should probably get on out of here.
Oh, God.
Oh, here we go.
No.
Pull up a seat as we break bread and break tables. Meal and a Match with Renee Paquette and RJ City, Friday at 2 p.m. on the TBS YouTube channel.
TBS YouTube channel.
Yes, that is the thing that I think Andrew Zarian. Well, it wasn't the Zarian tease thing. Maybe it was, but either way, May 17th, 2 p.m. That's their take on dinner and a movie. They're calling it Meal and a Match. Right. Cute.
But it's just on like TBS YouTube. It's not on TV.
No, it's not on TV. So how will we understand the story? Well, what will the ratings be?
Okay. That seems interesting. Like I love RJ and Renee, so I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah.
I do wonder. I assume they're just gonna watch an AEW match. I hope they watch a Moxley match, and Renee's got to be just like grossed out. Watch Anarchy in the Arena or Stadium Stampede from last year when Moxley does the skewers and stuff. That'd be a good way to spend your lunch hour.
We're going to show you this lights out match from AEW Dynamite. We're going to show you this Joey Janela match. We're going to show you Chris Jericho taking on Nick Gage.
Hell yeah.
That's the match that you want to watch while you're having a meal.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for my meal. I'm hungry.
I have a pizza.
A pizza? You're gonna have an entire pizza with the cutter?
I'm saying that's what you watch with.
With a Domino's pizza.
Yeah.
Right. Nightmare Collective in a meal.
Hey, Nightmare Collective ruled.
Hey, you know what? Tell your friends you can watch that show, but first you got to watch us. They're live. They're on at 2 p.m. on Friday. That's Eastern. We are on at 10 a.m. Eastern. On Friday, we're scheduled to be joined by Zach Haydorn, who just released his book on, it's called Stunning. It's about Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. So he's going to be with us, and we're going to be bringing back our interviews. We've been, on and off for the last little bit. We've already talked about it, but we're going to make a conscious effort to bring back the interviews to this program because let's face it, we're boring as hell. The people we bring on are just fun. Don't watch Busted Open. Just watch us. Tell your friends to watch us. Busted Open are fine, but we want to be better than them. Give us a hot tub on Mania week. Let's go. Jeremy, anything else to plug?
I'm sorry to everybody who had to listen to Joel's accent today.
Wasn't it a great accent?
No.
Well, bro, we'll just see you on Friday then.
Stop it.
I'm at Joel Pearl, J-L-U-L-P. I can't even do this properly. Joelpearl, ladies and gentlemen. Friends, me on the binary. We'll see you on Friday. Leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next